that's the whole thing when you build with the gods, like learning and you're around them and stuff. Like you don't get to perfect and prepare every build. You get asked to build on things on the spot.
The theater of a great teacher, and I like that.
Right.
You know, like,
it's theater.
The
a way to captivate, a way to
improvisation.
Yeah.
You got to improv.
And by the way, that's why. We were talking about taking pauses out when you build and speak and stuff. I would say put more in.
The pause.
Don't eliminate the pauses.
Well,
put
of course.
more pauses in.
Because they show the emphasis of each thought.
Yeah.
That's why we confuse when you say you're gonna rhyme. Because you speak and you do the poem and you pause. And now, but rhyming doesn't have that. Now it has more of a. So it's like, so this is gonna rap now. Let's see what he has.
This shit has evolved so much though that pauses are really a big part of it though. You mentioned digging in the crates. Look at it. One of the pioneers of that to me is AG.
Oh, Showbiz AG is my favorite.
AG is like one of the best ever at turning the conversational pauses and extending them really long.
Because you know why? Because studying AG, watching Showbiz AG literally in front of me, he wanted to get better. Because growing up in the Bronx, he didn't have the respect he have now from the peers that I was growing up with. And I watched AZ go from this to that. Same thing with Guru. This that they wanted to expand.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I saw that firsthand.
Sometimes you're dealing with pauses in a big cipher, like because you want to get yours off, right? You want to get yours off, but then you pause, and then somebody comes in like, oh man, I didn't even finish, man. I didn't finish what I was saying. So pauses, I mean,
it depends on the cipher. In a cipher like that,
but if
you kind of have to be, you have to kind of be fast.
If you're rushed though, right? If you're rushed, but what happens is that the auditor. If you get in there and you start off smooth, and then what happens is that they say, oh, that's how he talks.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that you game
it depends. Because in ciphers like that at the Parliament, though, there's a lot of, really, like I always say, there's a lot of theater involved in it. You have to be able to captivate. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to captivate.
Right, and if you don't captivate and you put a pause in there, somebody's gonna come along and snatch these.
So if it was Cypher and it was Wise Jamel though, he'd be ready to just rapid fire spit it out. You know what I'm saying? He would spit it out. But if it was Dumar, he would say, listen, everything is not what you're saying, everything is something else. Now let me take you through it. And then he would, this is the pause, his step is the pause. And you follow his gait. And he's tall.
He's tall frame too. He's like 6'3".
He's tall, so when he walked, it loped, and you got into his cadence, and now you're in the thing, and you're like, we have to be quiet now because he's really gonna say something. You know what I mean?
That's where.
Master.
When I was in school, my sister was theater, right? And we went to school, and my sister did theater, and I didn't get accepted for theater, but none of the boys signed up for the theater stuff, so they always drafted us. So then, because I did the comedy stuff, when I did the theater role, everybody, you would laugh. He's like, oh, Ron's gonna make us laugh, right? But in the theater, it forces you to walk. The walking is part of it.
Right.
The talk, right? The movement, the space. And it's almost like, if you come in there so poetic, so smooth, right? And as you're building, you can build as a professor versus you build like, I gotta get in, get out. It's like, you know what?
That's the similarities in the theater, because in the theater you have to have certain spots hit. You also have to be much louder than you are in, let's say, a movie. You don't have to be loud in a movie. You have to be loud in theater. You have to be heard in the back row. You know what I'm saying? Right? So these are the differences.
Because that understanding build, right? I was just like, wow.
I
For
think,
the seasoned guys, this is they're wasting their time with
when
this.
you speak to bigger groups, it's like the classroom. You turn everything. I was thinking Dumar because Dumar used to turn every cipher into a classroom. Just people didn't notice that. You know what I mean? So when he would speak though, he's capturing the individuals. You know what I'm saying? And he's sensing what the individual is interested in, and he builds with that. He steps in with that. He furthers that. And every time he's walking around though, it looks like he's going different places and using it as pauses, but he's basically coming back and regrouping and looking at what he has captured. Who's being captivated, who's not being captivated. You know what I mean?
If Mecca did this.